and welcome back to the Behind the Leazes podcast. It's the Fab Four once again. So I'm going to bring it back because we're not winning games again. So when we win another game, we'll start saying it. But yes, the four of us here, of course, Liam, we've got Andy, Ethan, and Adam. Gents, how are we all doing this evening?
Well, over the moon, obviously, after all the recent football, Liam. Yeah, not too bad, though. Not too bad.
Thanks very much for keeping the enthusiasm. We've got Adam here as well. How are you doing, pal?
I'm doing good. Again, the football is pretty bad, isn't it? But other than that, I'm doing all right, thank you.
I don't know what you're on about, mate. Then we've got Andy here as well, of course. How are you doing, pal?
I'm good, mate. I just want to give an early thanks to Joe Linton for helping us keep some of my sanity over the last two games.
Of course, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? We are, of course, going to talk on this podcast about the recent game against Manchester City. Of course, that finished 4-0 to the visitors. And, you know, maybe it wouldn't have been 4-0 if it weren't for some pretty poor refereeing decisions. We'll get on to that throughout the podcast, however. Also talking Michael Owen in this podcast because he's come out and said a couple of things about Newcastle fans, which I would love to get your guys' opinion on. And then, of course, talking about the battle between the other Manchester side at home on the 27th. That's Manchester United later on in the podcast. But yes, we'll start with the Manchester City game, of course. Man City coming on a Sunday, beating us 4-0. You know, expected, but a bit annoying when you look at it in hindsight. I think Eddie Howe was a bit annoyed. Jason Tyndall was certainly annoyed at halftime, judging by his reaction. Andy, I'll start with you. You know, you look at the results, you look at what Eddie Howe said, the reactions from the players, from the staff, from the managers. What did you think of the performance in the game itself?
It's City, isn't it? I mean, it was always going to be we're always going to lose that game, mate. They're absolutely terrifying this season. They've all been on fire. Certainly look like league winners again. Obviously going, which would mean back-to-back titles again for them. It's just, you've got to pick little bits from our game that look good. I mean, Joe Linton, like I said, has been an outlier in that squad, putting in 100% effort every game, been fantastic. Surprisingly, and I never thought I'd ever say this, but Shelby was a big miss, I thought, in that City game. But yeah, just defence letting us down again. And I was really surprised to see Kieran Clark was in that starting lineup. I was certain that we'd seen the very last of him in a black and white shirt. Maybe thought he might play a last hurrah game against Cambridge in the FA Cup. Certainly wasn't expecting him to play in the FA Cup, in the Premier League ever again for us. And probably ever for another side, because he's shown that he can't keep up with the league and he's not at that standard to play in the Premier League. The first goal was ridiculous. Yes, Dubravka probably should have done better, but Kieran Clark, as the centre-half, gets rid of that ball. What was he doing? I saw it too. I think it was probably Paddy Power saying, I'd say it was schoolboy defending, but that's probably insulting the schoolboys, which it is at the end of the day. It was a horrendous showing from us, and it's got to be better than that, and that's because our defensive coach before Eddie Howe came in was Steve Bruce, and it very much shows in this side at the minute.
Of course, I think we need to focus on the defence a little bit more because it wasn't just Kieran Clark who was pretty bad yesterday. It was, Jamal Lascelles as well. Maybe he got off a bit lighter yesterday because of, the woes of Kieran Clark and Martin Dubravka. He was absolutely woeful yesterday. You look at the third goal in particular, he's keeping Mahrez about a yard onside just because of his position in the way that he's left himself, and unfortunately that's cost us another goal. Ethan, defensively, what do you think we can do, or at least try to do, to try and keep some clean sheets?
Well, I don't know if I do an awful lot, but I said last week's podcast that we should be playing 5 at the back for these games against Liverpool and against Manchester City. I thought it was incredibly naive that we didn't. Liverpool we got off obviously to a decent start. We made a defensive error for the first goal. There's so many controversies that we're going to go into with the referee, but yeah, Manchester City again. I just thought after that Liverpool match, maybe a back 5 will be the answer. Obviously, we know that Federico Fernandez is injured, so I thought maybe perhaps Isaac Hayden would come in as a third centre half. That might have been the answer to reduce the deficit, because I thought it was naive, especially with having 2 wingers practically at full backs, where Matt Ritchie and Murphy's defending isn't as good as other fullbacks that we've got. So, yeah, that might have been the answer. But overall, to get clean sheets, the truth is, Liam, they need new defenders. And that's the only way where they could start imagining about getting those clean sheets secured.
Of course, yeah, we'll be talking January targets later on in the podcast as well. I think before the podcast, we spoke about a couple of defenders who have been linked. So let's hope something happens from that. Adam, refereeing for Newcastle it's been a bit funny in the past few games, hasn't it? And I think it's once again come to a head in this game here. And, we're all talking about the incident that happened between Edison and Ryan Fraser. Of course, Ryan Fraser's in the box. Edison runs out like he usually does. He's quite a good sweeper keeper, but in this instance, the ball's gone away from him and he's taken the man rather than the ball. No penalty. I'm not sure if it went to VAR or not, but Cancelo's gone away with the ball and the referees have judged it. Because Cancelo's got the ball, no penalty. A shocking decision. I think 99.9% of people said that's an absolute stonewall penalty. What do you make of the decision not to give a penalty there? And, at a time where the game could really sort of turned on our favour.
Well, it was a stonewall penalty. It's every single match. Now, you look at the Leicester game, that one, the first goal wasn't a penalty. Madison's clearly dived. VAR doesn't check it. Liverpool, that was more Mike Dean, just being Mike Dean, to be honest, than any VAR errors. And yes, that should have been a penalty. Ryan Fraser, it's clear as day. Everyone saw it in the stadium and it never got checked by VAR. But at the same time, though, in the Leicester game and the Manchester City game, we still got to take responsibility. We didn't play well in those two games. Yes, they're both good sides, but that's back-to-back 4-0s in 2 weeks now. And especially defensively now. Ritchie, Lascelles, Clark and Murphy, I honestly think is the worst back four I've seen in my lifetime. They are absolutely shocking. The fullbacks aren't even fullbacks, and the centre-halves are simply put useless. So, yes, yesterday it should have been a penalty if we scored 2-1 game on in the half-time. We'd have got some momentum. But at the same time, I felt like against Manchester City, especially that back four, we're never going to get anything from that game, really, in the day. And I think Eddie Howe knew because, again, he's playing players that shouldn't really be playing against Man City. So I can understand him resting players, but now we've got to get the results from the games that he's resting players for. We'll see what happened. But overall in the game yesterday, I know people weren't expecting results. My expectations, I didn't have any. But at the same time, you can't lose 4-0 at home. That's just unacceptable, I feel like. And again, these defenders, there's a reason why we're 19th from the table is because of these individuals week in, week out. And unfortunately, the attack can only do so much. Again, Joe Linton was class yesterday. But, I mean, the defence can only do so much. You're not going to win a game when you concede 4 goals, are you? So, yeah, we've got to have a look in the mirror and get ourselves ready for the Manchester United game.
Of course, and, we can speak about the defenders all we like. We still didn't score any goals. So let's focus on the attack for a little bit. Andy, how did you think we did, the front three in particular did?
Yeah, some promising moments. Look, I've said this whole season that the quality in our attack is there. It's just using it. And obviously against the City, a side like City, it's gonna be hard because they've got so much quality all over the pitch. They're hard to break down, and especially to counter against when they've got someone as good as Rodri sitting in front of the defence. It was always going to be hard. A couple of chances probably should have took. There was a header. Hayden, I think, missed a header. Should have went in. And yet, that penalty was as stonewall as a penalty as you're going to get. I mean, the only two people who didn't think that was a penalty was Martin Atkinson and the VAR official. I know Ethan shared a video from Sky on his Twitter this morning where Dermot Gallagher was discussing it, and Sue Smith and the other lad in the studio were discussing it, and it is a stonewall penalty. Because otherwise, does that mean you can just go around battering any player that doesn't have the ball? Where does that rule stand? I don't understand how someone that inept can referee a football game in the highest level of English football. If I'm not wrong in saying, Martin Atkinson, this might be his last season. Good. I think sometimes, I don't know if the VAR officials are maybe a bit scared to overrule a more senior official, especially like Martin Atkinson's been around for quite a while. But I'm all for protecting referees from getting abuse and stuff. But when decisions that are that blatantly obvious are getting missed and waved away by both VAR and the official. They need to be held accountable. This is what VAR was meant to be in. It was meant to bring in and help against clear and obvious errors and fouls within the game. That was a clear and obvious error. And I said this on Twitter yesterday during the match, but the only thing clear and obvious about VAR in the Premier League is that the Premier League officials cannot use it properly. And something needs to change with that. And I mean, the cheek of it to even discuss bringing in automated offsides when they haven't gotten VAR right yet. Look, for a team like City, that decision, that might not mean that much to them. They might miss out on a couple of points, but when we're goal difference adds up to more than a few points towards the end of the season, when we're in a relegation scrap, every goal counts, and that could be costly for us. Imagine if we went down by a goal. That's, fingers are pointing exactly at that. And then again at the Liverpool one, where Hayden's down with a head injury. Yes, okay, he might not have had a head injury, but the precaution is if there's a head injury, you're meant to blow the whistle straight away, which Mike Dean failed to do. And it's annoying that these little costly errors, which shouldn't happen in the first place, and this is why VAR's brought in to stop things like this happening, could be the reason we could go down if it came to it at the end of the season.
Ethan, do you echo Andy's comments there?
Yeah. So one thing I'd add about the refereeing is that it might be a little bit controversial, and it's a massive statement to make, but could there be the potential for corruption in the Premier League for officials making these decisions? I know obviously Newcastle United aren't popular with their Premier League at the minute. Other evidence I'd point to, you remember the referee Mark Halsey, who said that he's been part of in a situation where the Professional Game Match Officials Association has told referees to give a certain amount of corners, give a certain amount of fouls, give a certain amount of bookings. This is a real witness account. If everybody else is seeing these decisions as clear and obvious penalties, and the only people in the world who don't are the people who are most trained, is there a possibility that corruption is taking place? And I don't understand what other reason it could be. We talked about Dermot Gallagher on Sky before, and he was analysing the Newcastle incident, and he said it was a certain penalty in his eyes, and he can't see any other way around it. Well, he's been given the same training that the other blokes have had, so why aren't they making that decision? I don't understand it. And then there was I know it's not Newcastle related, but the Liverpool-Tottenham discussion of should have Harry Kane been sent off? And again, Dermot Gallagher was saying, well, to me, he's very, very lucky, and the only thing I'm looking at is how his boot is, but all the other attributes that make it a red card tackle, which the presenter was rattling off in terms of like excessive force, etc., all those were getting ticked off. But the one thing he came back to was like, yeah, I'm saying he's lucky, but maybe his boot was too high. So what do you mean? Luck's not involved. You're trained to make a correct decision. Where does the luck come in? Have you accidentally missed it watching the replays 10 to 15 times? And I feel that's been happening with Newcastle recently. The Maddison incident with Lascelles, it wasn't a penalty. It was clear and obvious on reflection. It wasn't a penalty. The incident with Ryan Fraser at Anfield, okay, maybe you could make an argument that it's not clear and obvious to overturn that one. But to me and to a lot of people, you could make that argument. And maybe I hate to say it, but maybe a top six club might have got that call in their favour. The Ryan Fraser incident against Man City, it's a stonewall penalty. And I can't possibly make any other explanation to defend these referees, because I hate the idea of the corruption argument, because it feels nonsense even suggesting it, because it's the most invested in, the most watched league in the world of football. But what other explanation is there? And like Andy said before, that was a terrific line, by the way. What's clear and obvious is that these guys don't know how to use VAR. That's the only thing that's clear and obvious about it. So, yeah, that's my little rant. Please take the reins.
I love it, mate. Absolutely love it. No, I completely understand what you mean, and it's such a shame, because these are potential, crucial points that we're losing because of these decisions. And I tweeted yesterday how funny these decisions have been, and I really do hope that we don't have to look at these decisions and at these games in particular back towards the end of the season, because God forbid if we do go down, we will be pointing the fingers at officials. We'll not just be pointing the fingers at our defence and our players. We will be looking at the officials and the people who have made these decisions that have possibly cost us points. I know we ended up losing 4-0, but momentum is a thing, and it definitely shifts a game.
Well,
the
Arsenal game was a massive example of that. Callum Wilson, the VAR didn't even look at that one, I'm sure. When Callum Wilson got shoved in the back, that was a clear and obvious pen.
Also, other incidences that come to mind is at Aston Villa when Emi Martinez took out Callum Wilson.
And that was because he was in an offside position. But that then again comes back to the argument of is it okay to just wipe out a player then? With Edison and Fraser yesterday, that was so because Cancelo. I mean, the pundits at half time made a mockery of it. The fact VAR, the only excuse VAR could come out with was that Cancelo came away with the ball. So
that's an excellent point, because where does that draw for off the ball fouls in general? Where does that, like, can you literally pull someone down off the ball in any situation to stop them having an advantage? Okay, you could. The argument that they were making was that the ball was gone now. So what does that leave it open to? I don't understand it. Yeah.
It's silly.
We've got Man United next, haven't we? And we've got Ronaldo next. And you know what's going to happen there. It'd be all over the place. Honestly, I would imagine the odds would be 1-50 for Newcastle to concede a penalty and Ronaldo to be the one to win it. It's that blatantly obvious it's going to happen. I mean, look at the penalties. Look at the penalties we've given away this season because of VAR. Compared to that one that we didn't get yesterday, it's absolutely ridiculous. Ethan, I agree with you. The whole conversation about the corruption. Yes, I think we've all thought it's a bit daft, but I think when something that's felt that daft, and then after yesterday, something that's that blatantly obvious has now made nearly everyone click and go kind of, hang on. Is there a sign of corruption here?
Yeah.
Because I think I'm starting to think the Premier League have lost the bottle about putting the takeover through, and are just trying to see us down so they can cool off for a bit. But it's just
again, Andy, it sounds like a conspiracy theory.
Well, it does. I feel like I'm preaching the Illuminati.
What's the other explanation? Tell me that. If Craig Pawson? I don't know, hit with a bad.
It was
with
Craig
a
Pawson.
wrong brush. Okay, it was Craig Pawson who was doing the VAR. Okay, if he just felt like he did have a clue for some reason, why don't he tell Martin Atkinson to go have a look at it again because he's not sure? Why is that being ruled out as well? There's also this idea at the minute that if a referee goes to look at the monitor, it means he has to give the penalty. That shouldn't be the case.
No.
It's okay. VAR is there. It's okay to go. Craig Pawson should make the decision correctly and say, listen, mate, it's a penalty. Go and give it now. But if he's incapable to do that, just tell the official who's on the field to go and have a look. Why not?
To my knowledge, I think the only decision that I can think of this season that's genuinely gone our way was at Brighton when the keeper got sent off. And even then, that wasn't given as a foul straight away. They had to go to the
Yeah, that's a great point. It wasn't given... And that was so blatantly obvious again. I mean... That doesn't need to go to VAR. An official should... Okay, the Fraser one, that should be given first time round. Okay, it wasn't. The Sanchez one, when he wiped out whoever was in Wilson in on goal, that should have been given first time. Okay, it wasn't. But, dearie me, what's going on with the officiating? It's appalling. Honestly,
it's not just Newcastle, I feel like, as well. There's so many other teams in this league that I feel like have been hard done by. Not just this season. You know, look at Cardiff in particular, the season that they came back up and then went straight back down. Some of the officiating for their games was absolutely atrocious. Do you remember the Chelsea game?
I remember Neil Warnock standing and looking at the officials. Yeah. That's a fantastic. Well, we're grateful for the meme for that. But again, the officiating that game wasn't so good. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing against the lower clubs. People have been saying it for years. Do the top six get favoured? It's always been. I've always thought it as well. You say that, but do they really? Listen, big clubs tend to have more chances, more touches in the box, therefore are more likely to win things such as penalties or free kicks or whatever.
It's incredibly frustrating. It's so frustrating. I feel like we need to move on from this, gents. Too riled up here.
No,
Andy, you make your last point.
I'm sorry. I've said this a lot, but I want to see more F1 style communication between.
No, because
the benches.
Rid of that.
No, I want to see between the benches and the officials. I would love to have heard Eddie Howe go full on Toto Wolff going to Craig. No, Craigie, no, this is not right. It's not fair.
No, there's a reason that they're getting
rid of that. You need to reinstate the penalty.
There's a reason that they're getting rid of that next season, I think. So I'm all for referees being mic'd up. 100% get the referees mic'd up for justification, transparency. Do that, but anything like that with the FIA team radios to the bench, Eddie Howe to Mike Dean or whatever, not a chance, right? Let's move on, gents. Let's talk about January transfer targets. I've gone onto Sky Sports and just looked at the transfer rumours, and this isn't all of them, right? But this is a list of the players who have been linked to Newcastle United ever since the takeover, right? So, Dusan Vlahovic, Anthony Martial, Edin Dzeko, Kieran Trippier, Konstantinos Mavropanos, Aaron Ramsey, Mohamed El Neni, Ousmane Dembele, Roman Favre, Lorenzo Insigne, Luka Modric, Florian Giltish, Darwin Nunez, Axel Witsel, Alexander Zinchenko, Agebu Kamara, Umar Sadiq, Divock Origi, Ross Barkley, Philip Coutinho, James Tarkowski, Adrien Rabiot, Technical Director Michael Emiliano, Steve Nixon, Donny van der Beek, Dean Henderson, Jesse Lingard, Lacazette, Matteo Guendouzi, Ander ter Stegen, Karim Adeyemi, Dele Alli, Ismail Assar, Eden Hazard, Connor Cody, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, Timo Werner, Clement Lenglet, Wesley Fofana, Donny van der Beek again, and Mauro Icardi, and Demba Ba. You get the point. So,
Liam,
plenty of players.
Who, Kamara?
Agebu
Kamara.
Let's have a look.
Boubacar Kamara, man.
No, it's not. It's not Agebu. It's Olympiacos. Agebu Kamara.
All right, fair enough. I'll look. Yeah.
But Boubacar Kamara as well. But someone who I didn't mention there, who has been sort of widely reported by other tabloids, is Sven Botman, who I'm not entirely sure who he plays for, but yeah, fantastic name. Looking like he could be joining Newcastle come January. It's a defensive player, along with Kieran Trippier as well. Obviously defenders are the positions that we need. So I want you guys to rattle off a couple of players that you think we could sign and who you'd want to sign in sort of different positions. So I'll start with Adam first.
Well, it has to be defenders. Let's be honest, we need defenders in. Trippier is in quite heavily linked. He's an obvious one I feel like we should get. Yes, he doesn't play an awful lot of football, but he's not a great man Q. And again, we need defenders, so we get rid of them and bring some new ones in. Centre half wise, we've already talked about this before. Like Ake, Cody, Tarkowski, a lot of people going, why would these come out of the Premier League? They're playing for clubs around us in the league. So again, a bit tricky. The fact that Newcastle are 19th, the fact that COVID's, of course, starting to hit again. It's going to be hard in the January window to see what sort of players we could get in it. It's still a lot of uncertainty at the minute. But I still think Tarkowski is a realistic one. I still feel like Newcastle offer the money, Burnley would just snap it straight away. So I'll go for him and Trippier personally. But again, there's so many different options you can get. It's just kind of me just thinking the back of my head at the minute. And there's possibility at the minute, though. It has to be defenders and midfielders. So I feel like it's complete shambles in those areas. So yeah, defenders, please.
Of course, £200 million war chest, plus maybe a bit more money should sponsors come in at that point. I was watching a Tifo football video last week, and they said with sponsors, things like that, we could get almost £800 million for this next transfer window. So, Mbappe, hello. No, maybe it's a bit premature. Ethan, what do you reckon? Of course, we said Tarkowski there, end of contract. We're talking about possibly a £17 million deal. It's not too bad, is it? But who would you like to see come to St James's Park come January?
Well, I think it's very difficult, Liam, to make the wrong decisions and buy centre halves or defenders that are worse than the current group of players. I think it's very difficult to do that. Whoever's going to be making those decisions, whether it's going to be a new sporting director or whatever role, if it's going to be Eddie Howe, who I don't think has got a brilliant record of buying players. Personally, I'm happy with the experience. I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record, but I'm happy with the links of Botman. I mean, I've not watched him, but if he's won the French First Division, and he's a decent player, and he's touted about loads. Yeah, I'm going to trust other people's judgment on that. Tarkowski, I've watched a lot in the Premier League. I rate him, although I don't particularly rate Burnley's defence at the minute. I think he's still a very good player, but the answer, Liam, is by defenders. The thing with Kieran Trippier is as well, I mean, obviously we need defenders. I feel like our right back isn't the priority, but he seems to be the number one target at the minute. I think buying defenders in the middle of the park is more important. But that said, if Kieran Trippier in game week 38 scores a last-minute free kick, something similar to that against Croatia in the World Cup, I'll be very happy if he keeps us in the league. So, yeah, I mean, these are all very exciting names to be linked with. I mean, to be honest, that long list that you give from Sky Sports, I didn't know a lot of those players or who they were, but I assume the people making these decisions, they're all rumours, they're all speculation. Half of them will be made up. I like to think that Newcastle have a plan in place now, and they've got players that they're going to start ticking off, and that they've even started making these decisions already, that they've had these negotiations with Kieran Trippier, like we've heard, so that on the first day of January, get them in the first week. Try and implement them in the team as quick as possible so we can get that month, that January month, off to a decent start, because every game matters when you've won only one in assume half the season when we play Man United next.
Of course, and it's better to be linked with a fair few players rather than just bust dust all season. So thankfully we're out that stage, man. Clement Grenier, yeah, and Jethro Willems before he come on loan as well. Yeah. It was a very FIFA 15 signing, I must say, when Bruce brought him in. Andy, positions, defenders, strikers, midfielders, goalkeepers as well, that play all over the park, I think we need. But who would you like to see coming in January?
I'll have to say, I mean, I'm excited by the Kieran Trippier links because with Kieran Trippier, you're not just getting a solid defender, you're getting someone that can actually whip a ball in and create some exciting play from that full-back position, which Mankiw is all right at that the first like touch ball in, but we struggle from distribution with crosses. And I mean, half the time we're getting there now where we've got more players in the box, which is something we've struggled with. And I mean, the reason why we were scoring so many in January when Willock came in, because he was getting in the right position when crosses were coming in, which is something with Trippier I think we can get back to doing. Like Ethan, Adam both said, Tarkowski, brilliant centre half, would be fit into the squad straight away, ground run. But I have to say, I do like the links with Conor Cody as well, because I think with Conor Cody, you're getting someone who can instantly walk in and captain the side as well. He's like a born natural leader, which I think we need now. Lascelles has done an all right job as captain throughout his tenure at the club, but it is time for the armband to be passed on to someone, and if it's not someone who can come in as a fresh start, fresh eye to the team, all for it. But we do need strikers as well. We are a Callum Wilson injury away from certain relegation, I think. I don't think that's been overly dramatic either. But January transfer windows, strikers are notoriously expensive to buy in this market because no one wants to give away the main asset, really. The one player you mentioned there, my ears pricked up. I was saying lights, everything, the thought of him coming, but Karim Adeyemi, I think he's just won Golden Boy of the Year, if I'm right as well. He's a fantastic young German talent from Red Bull Salzburg. Those who play career mode will know exactly who I'm on about. Gross to be one of the best players in the game, but no, I would love to see him come, but we're not going to sign him, mate. Let's be honest. With the likes of Dortmund and Liverpool and these lot creeping around at the minute, yes, I know we're the richest club in the world, but we are 19th in the Premier League. We do not have the pulling power yet to attract these players. That being said, I don't know who would want to come in and be second fiddle to Callum Wilson, really. Second fiddle, or maybe compete with him. Had he not moved to Villa, I would have probably said Danny Ings. But if I was to say a player that I was really wanting to come in, James Ward-Prowse, I think we should just throw at Southampton whatever they want for Ward-Prowse. I think he's a fantastic talent, more or less guaranteed a goal from set pieces. Not that we'll get many of them because we'll go back to the conspiracy theory. Boubacar Kamara as well can more or less an Isaac Hayden player where he can more or less in that defensive midfielder role can play as a centre half, but is actually good at it and can distribute the ball about. Yeah, I mean, look, January isn't the month where you go mental and buy a whole new squad. I'd expect us to do that in the summer. And what kind of players we bring in the summer, I don't know. That depends on where we're finishing the league. But like the lads have mentioned, your likes of Trippier, Tarkowski, Cody, the players like that who have played in the Prem, got the experience, can settle the boat. That's what we really need at the football club at the minute. Yes, maybe take some risks, bring in some foreign players, but the position we're in, we can't be taking too many risks. We just need to be picking up as many points as we can, quick as we can. And I think I'm still confident we can stay up. I still think the teams around us are going to start dropping off coming into the new year. They don't have the money to spend that we do. But I'll forever be the optimist, and I think we can still stay up.
Well, on that, Andy, and in terms of getting players in January on whether we will stay up or whether we'll go down, I think Newcastle are going to have to go about it. There's been speculation about how Kieran Trippier's contract or his deal is going to be shaped, that if Newcastle do get relegated, he may have like a release clause or something like £20 million. That's what they're going to have to do for a lot of players. If they want to go for these top players that you've just listed off, Liam, if they're going to try and get any of them, you're going to have those clauses in. I think also maybe loan deals where you can say, listen, come for half the season, we may pay, I don't know whatever play it'll be, but you might have to pay a hefty loan fee, give them a big bonus for just trying to come in and try and steady the ship. And if they do keep the team up, they then might go, yeah, okay, I will stay now for the long term on a big bumper contract, because if you're going to sign for this club at the minute, the only reason you're going to do it is that you've got an escape route in case we do get relegated and you don't go down to the Championship and you get paid a lot of money. So they're the two things that need to get right to get these players in.
Sorry, Andy. It very much feels like you're a lower league team on Football Manager, and you're just saying, look, we've got a plan here. Just stay for a little bit, and we'll make it worth your while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Amanda Staveley's already said that she knows we're going to have to spend a lot in January. I think she knows that the position the club are in, that we are going to have to pay over the odds, not necessarily to other clubs and transfer fees wise, but wages wise. I think that's where most of the money's going to go. Look, player fees are over the odds anyway now for how much you're paying for players, but the likes of Trippier is going to become joint top earner, I think, with Joe Linton and Joe Willock, maybe, if I'm not
these
wrong.
Sources are right.
Which look, we're going to have to do. We're going to have to do whatever it takes to attract these players to come, and I think it's nice having the confidence in the owners that they'll do whatever needs to keep them in the Premier. The Saudis don't want to be a laughing stock. They've just bought a club and it goes down to goes down to the second division. You know what I mean? I mean they're in so much battle with the Qataris with them owning City and PSG. So of course they're going to want us to stay up. So I think money's going to get thrown about in January, and I think we'll see the incomes that we've wanted to see for God knows how long. And I mean, the last time I think I can enjoy the January transfer window was the one where the French Revolution came in. We had Debussy, Gouffran, Sissoko, Haidara.
Marveau, was he that year?
Marveau, because it was tell all the boys, we've got the best midfield in the world. Sissoko, Johan Cabaye and Marveau. Just need a lot in January, and that's clearly obvious. And I mean, I think that's where we defer to the teams around us, because we have the funds to be able to bring these players in. Whereas you like said, Norwich, they spent their money at the start of the season, probably won't have much to spend. Leeds are a good side. They've just been absolutely riddled with injury problems. Watford notoriously just drop off. All these teams are around us. we can get up and out of this. And I mean, especially when you hear the ground 4-0 down at the full-time whistle, the noise,
great, yeah.
Unbelievable, mate. And I strongly believe that the season, I don't expect us to finish anywhere like daft. Like,
well, how many?
12
Sorry, Andy. I was going to say, after naming all those teams there and the players that they've got, what number of points do you think would be enough to like stay in the Premier League this season? Could it be something as low as maybe 30, 32 points, something in that kind of region to stay in the Premier League this year? If you look at 35 points, because is it the team above us? Is Watford? Are they on like 13 points?
They're 3 points above, I think.
3 points. I mean, literally 30 points or whatever could be enough to stay in the league this year, which gives Newcastle that little bit of a chance. And it's also worth mentioning, of course, that's in the short term. If Newcastle don't stay up this season, it really puts the project behind by a good few years. And I don't mean, all right, it's 1 year in the Championship. It's literally in terms of doing that rebuilding process, in terms of going for Championship players and players who are going to come at that point, rather than just thinking, oh, those players that we're going to get anyway are going to come to the Championship and it's going to be fine and they're going to get paid loads and they're just going to get us promoted. It really puts the project behind. So that's why January is important for short term and long term.
Definitely. And just looking at a back of house sort of perspective as well, Newcastle being given permission to speak to Brighton technical director Dan Ashworth. So I'm not entirely sure how long he's been in the role for, but it's just sort of to help with things like transfers. We're also looking for a new director of football as well. So Nicky Hammond he's been appointed as like a temporary consultant, just trying to help get a director of football in there. So it's good to know that we're making, things in the back of house as well, little movements there.
Yeah.
What do we make of that? I'll come to Adam first.
In terms of the Brighton director, Brighton last few seasons have brought really good football players up. In terms of the players, compared to 10 years ago, it's just bread and butter, really. So, yeah, I don't know much about the guy, but based on the youngsters Brighton have brought up, he seems like a decent one. He seems like one that obviously would improve Newcastle because, last 10 years we've had last 15 years, even Andy Carroll, Paul Dummett, Longstaff, that's like the only real breakthrough players. It's not really good enough, is it? So, yeah, I feel like it would be good for Newcastle, but I'm just looking forward to the January window as a whole because to get a director in, get all these football players. In terms of me, for example, I want to be standing outside the training ground every single day waiting for these players to come in. That'd be a great laugh. But yeah, I think it will happen. I feel like in terms of the window, Amanda Steve, the first thing she said when she came at the football club was like, oh, we're in a relegation battle, we're going to have to spend big. Yeah, with the long-term future of the football club, with the long-term goals you have, they're not blind. They see that football week in, week out, and they know how bad certain aspects of the pitch is, and they'll have to improve. Or go down. But at the same time, they wouldn't have bought this football club if they weren't here to improve it. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious to spend big. In terms of that Brighton guy, I hope he's the correct choice. We'll wait and see. But the main part for me is the performances on the pitch. We need to stay up this season. It's just as simple as that.
Without a doubt. Ethan, do you think, getting these new directors in, they'll have quite an impact in terms of the transfer window and later on this season?
Yeah, I do. I was going to say I've quite enjoyed it the past. Is it Graham Carr who used to the chief scout? Whatever. When it proves, obviously we're not going to get someone like Graham Carr again, but it proves having that person at the top or whoever makes these decisions, and you can buy good players, and we've had that in the past, and you need someone leading that kind of operation. I don't trust Eddie Howe to have that responsibility. I said before, the likes of Dominic Solanke have come good now, but Eddie Howe and Bournemouth's strategy has always been buying for the long term and buying young. I guess that's because they don't have the resources that Newcastle have now, where they can buy for the immediate and get the experienced players who can get the results right away. So I think getting someone in will do a good job. Again, like Adam, I don't know a lot about this Brighton fella, but yeah, again, they have brought through good players. They've bought well. They've stabled themselves as a Premier League team, and that's what we need to do, and that's our next step. So then, if we can go further, where we can even start contemplating the likes of Europe and whatever, brilliant. But for now, consolidate, get a guy in who knows how to stabilise a Premier League football club. So yeah, I'm definitely in favour of it.
Without a doubt. Andy, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's clearly obvious that we need to have someone in that role. Look, we haven't ever really had anyone in that role, a proper director of football. I mean, you can't really class someone who's so inept to the game of football like Lee Charnley is someone we've been lucky to have. But someone that can help us get these deals through as quickly and efficiently as possible. I'm all for it, mate. And like Ethan said, I mean, some of the players Eddie Howe's brought in, I think people have been quick to jump on that, maybe with the likes of Solanke and Jordan Ibe, but he also brought in Nathan Ake, Callum Wilson. These players, he can. And I mean, looking at Bournemouth's strategy, very close to Newcastle's, to be honest, while Eddie Howe was there, and Mike Ashley buy young to sell on was ours. I mean, Bournemouth was buy them young to try and develop these players. Meanwhile, we were having an absolute nightmare just buying the likes of Johan Kabay for 6 million maybe, and then sell them on for 20. We were very much have them for a season, sell on. But we just need now, hopefully, someone that knows how to steady us. I wouldn't expect anyone that came into the role now to be here for the long term. We just need steadying, maybe for the next year and a half. Get past this season, obviously, stay up. And then you get to the summer, and that's where the sky's the limit, really. We can probably spend money, bring in players, spend them, have them there all summer. The World Cup's not in this summer, so going in before the season, there's no excuse to not have a great training camp, go on an actual pre-season, have actual pre-season games, not playing the likes of York or like Rotherham. Who's that helping? What, you go and knocks it? To be honest, we couldn't even beat the likes of York in pre-season. We need to be playing proper teams going into this season to be as prepared and fit and ready as we possibly were. I was listening to Callum Wilson does a podcast now with Mikel Antonio. He was talking about the players weren't fit in that West Ham game. He was saying to Antonio how they were just getting ran all over after probably about an hour mark from the West Ham players, which they were, because they didn't have a proper pre-season. So there's a lot needs to go on around the football club. I trust that Eddie Howe will see that development come in and have them fully fit going into next season in the Premier League, which I'm confident will happen. But yeah, look, everything's still brand new owners. Things are going to be happening all the time behind the scenes that we're maybe not sure of. I still really need to look at what some of these roles above the manager do, what their responsibilities are. But yeah, I mean, I still think it's very much exciting times. It's easy to focus on the doom and gloom when you're in the situation that we currently are in. But I think we can get out of that, hopefully starting next month, bringing in new players and a new director of football. So I think Newcastle United in 2022 are very much going to be the team to watch.
Of course, let's hope for a bit more positivity. Just before we end this podcast, we do, of course, need to talk about the Man United game on the 27th, just after Christmas. Of course, we lost a reverse fixture 4-1. That was Ronaldo's re-debut against us. But now, maybe another result is on the horizon, hopefully a win for us. Adam, we'll start with you. What changes do you think we need to make from the Man City game to try and get a good result against Man United?
We need to change the back lineup. Even with Shaw, yes, I didn't think he had a good game against Liverpool, but he's definitely a better centre-half than Clark, so I'll make that change immediately. Again, though, it's just the same old ones. Why is Lascelles playing? I know he's the captain, but week in, out, he's just an awful football player. I mean, how I still put it, I've had enough of these same individuals now. Fullback-wise, again, the fullbacks aren't fullbacks. Change it around. And against Manchester United, I actually think we've got a chance in that game due to the fact that they've been out for weeks with COVID now. So the players, I feel like, will be a bit rusty when they come back. Yes, on the other hand, he made sure these got loads of time to get fit again, loads of time to get back into it. So it might go against us. I mean, let's be honest, the referee's going to go against us anyway. So we'll see how it goes in the game. We need to be ready for the Everton one. I feel like that one after that is actually a must-win. Whereas the Manchester United game, we can kind of just go, we'll see what happens in that. If we did give an effort, though, again, 4-0 at home at Manchester City. Yes, they're a world-class side, but I do feel like we can't be losing 4-0 at the home game. So we've got to improve against Manchester United. Got to look like a team that's actually got a chance in the game, and hopefully for the Everton one, that's when we get a win. But if it's Manchester United game, just got to hope for the best, really.
Well, the thing with Man United... Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to fill in, Liam, because I didn't see where you were, but no, I was going to agree with that. But I think Man United, there's actually a chance there. I feel they've not settled yet under Rangnick. I feel that perhaps you heard me cheering and going on about we must play a back five against Liverpool. We must play a back five against Manchester City. I feel against Man United, you can harry them into mistakes, and that's when the pressing does come good. I feel that I'm not convinced with their centre halves. I mean, obviously, the likes of Fred's been playing a little bit better recently, and in general, they've actually been getting clean sheets now, which they weren't doing at all under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I still feel you watched, I don't know if any of you did, but Man United against Norwich the other day. Norwich could have got a result from that very easily. And Norwich are just as bad as us, if not worse. So I think I am optimistic about this, where you could go and get something. I know you were referencing the reverse fixture where Ronaldo tore Newcastle a new one. And he could again. He absolutely could. But I feel maybe with the home support, maybe if we get a goal early on, who knows? Newcastle could get something. But one thing's for sure, they will concede goals. So they need to score at least 2 if they want a chance of getting a result, I think.
Well, I think you've got to look at the way that, Ralph Rangnick plays. It's folklore at clubs like Leipzig, things like that. Very sort of intense pressing football. Obviously, the gegenpress adopted by the likes of Tuchel, by Klopp. But, when you play with maybe 5 at the back, and quite ironically, if you play a sort of Steve Bruce style of football, sorry, I keep turning my camera off, it might actually be a bit better for us getting a result. They've just drawn Atletico in the Champions League, for example. That is an absolute nightmare draw for them because Atleti play 4-4-2, not the most entertaining football, but they manage to scrape their little wins here and there just because they play counter-attacking football and they don't allow, the players to get any pressure or anything like that. So, quite ironically, like I said, if we played like Steve Bruce did, we might have gotten a result here. Andy, what do you think needs to be done to try and get a result here?
I think we need to call back the ginger lad from Aberdeen, get him back, get him and Paul Dummett up top. Our 2 notorious scorers against Man United. 4-4 F and 2. Matty Longstaff, Paul Dummett up top. Johan Kabay, get him out of retirement, get him back in there.
We're talking about re-signing Demba Ba in that list as well. So
of course. I mean, nearly retiring Demba Ba.
That's good old Ralph if he fancies playing Phil Jones again so he can score an own goal.
So if all these things go our way, I think we could definitely get a result in this match.
Maybe. So the key things we're hoping for is no Mike Dean or Martin Atkinson. That would be great if those 2 were maybe just, I don't know, ill. Not ill, if that's a bit harsh. Just off for the weekend. I think I agree with the lads. There is a chance. I mean, there's always a chance, but this United side has the capability to be good. Look, it's Ronaldo, and it's like, yes, he's 36 or 37 now. He's a quality player, and the way our back line's been playing, will they cope with him again? No, they've already shown they can't cope with him. That's plain and simple, quite like Liam's Nando's order, which has just arrived, Liam, hasn't it? Just again, we're going to need great performances out of our players. And please, Eddie Howe, play Joe Willock as a number 10. He will deliver. The reason why I haven't had the best out of him this season is because he's been played out of position the whole season. St. Maximin needs to learn when to release a ball. I think quite a few people, it seems people are very split on Maximin at the minute. There's one half are really fed up, really. He seems to do everything and then ruins it by not giving the ball away. He seems to it's everything or nothing for that bloke. He can't pass. And it is annoying. I'm on the side where it was probably good to see him get dropped against City, and I think the pundits that were arguing about why is he getting brought on at half time, that just seems a silly thing. I don't think they've been watching our last few games because St. Maximin, quite frankly, honest, has been awful just by trying to do too much, losing the ball, losing possession, which against the likes of Liverpool, possession was massively important for us because we weren't going to get much of it. But when you've got Maximin trying to take on 5 players at once and then just getting tackled, losing the ball, it's not doing anyone good. Yes, fair enough, try it against the Burnleys, the Norwiches, the teams you can't do that aren't as good. But I think he still needs to learn the game a bit better. I don't know if that's me being harsh or what, but there's a clip. BT put a clip on of him taking on players at Liverpool and loses the ball at the end of it, and it's like, oh, how entertaining is this bloke? What I haven't pointed out is he's running the wrong way on the pitch and gets tackled, loses possession in our own half, and it's just, I want him to do well. He's an entertaining player, and of course I love to watch him, but he really needs to learn when to give the ball, because I think everyone's starting to get that bit frustrated of him. And like I've said, the last couple of weeks really remind us of Ben Arthur in his last season at the club, where he's just trying to do too much and losing it.
He reminds us of there's a UFC fighter called Miguel Pereira who, he's so entertaining, but he'll sit there and do backflips on people and jump off the cage and try and punch people. And, it's good, but at the end of the day, he's tiring himself out, and then he ends up losing the match because he's just knackered, and he'll end up getting submitted or knocked out or something. So, it's exactly like that. It's so frustrating to watch, although, the entertainment factor's there. But end of the day, like you said before, Andy, we're 19th in the league. We need wins. Doing little kick-you-ups on the halfway line doesn't really help.
No, we need goals, mate. I quite liked, like I mentioned that before the podcast, Callum Wilson, the way he was talking, saying that he likes to go up against the biggest defender on the pitch. I like his attitude. And look, he's shown when he gets the ball in front of the goal, he can put it away. We just need more of that and more actual deliverance into the box and players being in the box. I think that's been a massive frustration for us, saying we're getting these balls in and there's just Callum Wilson's there by himself. So I think we need to revert to Joe Willock playing as that number 10, because I think we will start picking up goals.
Let's go around the room for a score prediction, shall we? The last score prediction before Christmas. Ethan, we'll start with you, pal.
2-2.
2-2, eh? Scorers?
God. I think the goal scorers will be Javier Manquillo again. And he did score in the reverse fixture, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He did. Good knowledge.
Well, why not? That'll be a story. And the other Newcastle scorer will be, in a shock, Kieran Clark in the 94th minute, because Fabian Schär hobbles off injured and he has to come on, and he scores a last-minute header from a corner. So that's what's going to happen to him.
Do you want us to enter your story into the prize fiction story? Yeah?
Well, if it earns me any money, I'll be more than happy with that, Liam. Absolutely.
20 pence and a pack of Freddos.
Yeah, that'll do me.
Adam, score prediction, pal. You're always a confident one.
Yeah. I really hope we beat them. I really would love to see Newcastle beat them, because the first thing I'm going to do if we win, I'm going to head that way and I'm going to start soon.
Oh, he's going full Keegan.
He is. Imagine if Keegan did the two.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, the second if we win that game, I'll be straight in that way and I'll be suing for all the Man U fans to walk. just the embarrassing. I can't wait. But yeah, it's going to be very tough, especially how I've been playing lately. I feel like the Man U game that we can come back with a bounce and screw it 1-0. Why not? Let's just go for a clean sheet and a win against Manchester United. Ronaldo going to do nothing at St James's Park, hopefully. So yeah, I'll go 1-0. But again, I've been wrong with every prediction this season. So yeah. We'll see.
What were you going to say, Ethan?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that I really do believe that Adam will actually do the sue, and that it's not a joke. I can genuinely see this happening, and I think Twitter would absolutely go into meltdown if it happens. So let's hope that Newcastle win 1-0 just for that reason.
Oh
Of
yeah.
course, well, you can catch that Sue if Newcastle do win on YouTube at Adam Pearson.
Oh, I got
Throwing that out
thank
there
you.
for yourself. He's nearly on 15,000 subscribers, is it now? 14?
Yeah, just literally just over 200 now.
Go subscribe to him.
Well done.
Andy, score prediction, pal.
I agree with Adam. I'm backing a 1-0, and I'm going to say that the best native Portuguese-speaking player on the pitch will score that goal. Joe Linton will bag and see us off to a nice little 1-0 win into the new year, which we can all be happy with. Before Agent Rafa gives us another win. But as well, I think we've got a bit of a special announcement, Liam, haven't we? We're all getting together. We're all used to being in this setting where we're across over the web, and we're all very much when we're wanting to talk. We all feel like, oh, am I putting across? We are going to be getting together and doing our first podcast all together. So we're filming that this week, and that'll be out in sometime in the new year. I would have probably thought, but it's one to look out for. I'm really excited to get it done and see all the lads all there.
Of course, yeah. It's near Christmas and all, so I'm expecting you as wearing your Christmas clobber. Have we got any Christmas clothes, anything like that, clobber? No.
I've never owned a Christmas jumper. I was told off the other day for not wearing a Christmas jumper, but I don't really see the point in them. But maybe I could make a special buy one specially for this occasion. So we'll see.
A certain SD brand, blue S, red D, I think. It might be the other way around. Direct Sports, that one.
I don't know what that means.
It's Sports Direct, right?
All right.
They do a certain Newcastle United Christmas jumper for about 30
I
quid.
genuinely didn't have a clue what you were going on about there.
I think it's red S blue D. But
Speaking of that,
right,
yeah.
we need to get rid of this, right?
That will be censored. All of that sentence, Liam. If this goes out, you've said nothing there. It's just beeps.
This isn't
we're not plugging that tripe of a store, right? Just get some tinsel. We'll sell it. We're going to sellotape tinsel to each other, right? That'll do. That's
fantastic. Right,
tinsel's Christmassy, isn't it?
Well, I'll be wearing a Christmas jumper, right? I wore it at work today. Went off like a hoot. It was absolutely fantastic. So I'll wear it again, and I hope I get the same reaction. And the crowd goes mild. Awesome. Fantastic, right? And on that bombshell,
Like
is
your
Jeremy Clarkson would
chicken,
say.
isn't it? All mild like
Oh well, it's actually sitting on the side there, so I'm sort of trying to end this podcast so I can.
Sorry, go on, Liam. Do your end.
Right,
Do your end.
gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. We'll be back on sometime towards the new year. Obviously, to speak about the Man United game. This next podcast, I think, is just going to be a bit of a funny one, just a general discussion about the game, really. But like I said, gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to see you on Thursday, and all the best. Wednesday. It's Thursday, man. The 23rd.
The 20. You said the 22nd.
23rd. I said, mate.
Right. We'll end this here.
No worries. Right. All the best. We've been the Behind the Leazes podcast. Liam, Andy, Adam, and Ethan. All the best.